In the winter of 1969, London felt like a city between breaths. The Technicolor haze of the previous years was fading, leaving behind a cold, gray morning. Silas walked through the fog with a heavy guitar case, meeting Evander at the corner of a narrow alley. They didn't know it yet, but the air was about to become much heavier. They carried with them a sound that had been forged in small clubs and late-night sessions, a blend of ancient blues and a futuristic metallic roar. They retreated into a cramped basement studio where the scent of warm vacuum tubes and stale coffee hung thick. Silas spent hours layering tracks, seeking a specific kind of tension. He wasn't just playing notes, he was sculpting electricity. He pushed his amplifiers until they vibrated the floorboards, looking for the exact moment where melody turned into a physical force. Each chord he struck felt like a foundation stone being laid for a new kind of temple. While Silas built the walls of sound, Evander provided the spirit. In the isolation of the vocal booth, he pushed his voice into registers that seemed impossible. It wasn't just singing, it was a primal cry that echoed through the history of the Delta and soared into the rafters of the future. The glass between them trembled as he poured every ounce of his soul into the microphone, bridging the gap between delicate folk and thunderous rock. When the album was finally pressed, it bore the image of a giant airship consumed by flames, a symbol of something massive and majestic being transformed by fire. Lyra, a young woman seeking a rhythm that matched the changing times, stood outside a small record shop on the day of the release. She saw the sleeve in the window and felt an immediate, magnetic pull toward the stark, black and white imagery. It looked dangerous, and in 1969, danger was exactly what the music scene needed. Lyra rushed home to meet Hertz, and they sat on the floor of a sun-drenched flat. The moment the needle touched the groove, the room changed. The opening riff wasn't a greeting, it was an invasion. Hertz leaned back as the drums kicked in, feeling the percussion in his chest. They didn't speak for the entire duration of the first side. The music was so dense, so purposeful, that it seemed to take up all the physical space in the room. The impact was immediate and tectonic. Silas and Evander became the faces of a movement they hadn't even named yet. They stood before posters of their own creation, watching as the world tried to categorize what they had done. Critics called it heavy, fans called it a revolution, but to them, it was simply the truth of the blues played through a wall of speakers. The lead in their name wasn't a weight to hold them down, it was the anchor that allowed them to soar. On stage, the transformation was complete. Silas took the stage not just as a musician, but as a sorcerer of sound. He experimented with a violin bow, drawing it across his guitar strings to create eerie, haunting soundscapes that filled the arenas with a spectral energy. The audience watched in stunned silence as he pulled music out of the ether, proving that rock could be as experimental as it was loud. Evander moved with a grace that defied the heaviness of the backing tracks. He was the counterpoint to the thunder, a golden thread weaving through the storm. When he sang, he reached out to the crowd, pulling them into the narrative of the songs. He became the archetype of the modern frontman, untouchable yet intimate, a vessel for the collective energy of thousands of people who had finally found the volume they were looking for. Back at the radio station, Hertz watched the switchboard light up like a Christmas tree. Every time he played a track from the album, the phones wouldn't stop ringing. People wanted to know who these men were and where this sound had come from. The airwaves, once dominated by 3-minute pop songs, were being claimed by 7-minute epics and distorted solos. The landscape of the industry was shifting under the weight of the new standard. As the year came to a close, the echoes of that debut album had reached every corner of the globe. Lyra sat by her window, the record still spinning in the background, looking out at a horizon that felt wider than it had in January. The 1969 release hadn't just been an album, it was a blueprint. It taught the world that music could be heavy and light, ancient and modern, all at the same time. The airship had crashed, But the fire it started would never go out.